Hey, your regularly scheduled programming will start in a minute. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, is here. Wanted to give you an update, some news.
We have some news. So if you remember, our Dr. Trump video was taken down, a copyright claim, Digital Millennium Copyright Act claim by Warner Chappelle, and it's over. It's back up. You can go see the video.
It is back up. That means that there are no strikes on our channel, and we're going to re-upload it because we re-uploaded it as a separate clip with a new intro. Some more updates coming next week. Thank you guys so much. Of course, your support at Mug Club is what makes this possible, and to have this very expensive lawyer on retainer. And we'll be moving to a new space here as well. Updates on that, and then we'll be doing more golden ticket hirings. I don't know. Enjoy the show. Louder with Crowder Studios, protected exclusively by Walther and Hopper.
Maverick here, preparing to pursue target. Talk to me, Quarter Black Goose.
Roger that. Quarter Black Goose here. You give him hell. I got your 6.
Okay. I have target locked.
We see this as a violent threat.
You bet your sweet ass, Jack Dorsey. Engaging target.
Roger that, Maverick.
Damn it! Missed him.
Maverick? Looks like you have company on your tail.
When did Zuckerberg get here?
As long as there are people spreading misinformation, this is going to be an ongoing conflict.
Well, this complicates things.
Seems like my invite got lost in the mail.
Too cute, Matt.
Tell him to put the Zima on ice. Now the party's started.
I got a call that some boys were trying to do a woman's job.
Yeah, I've heard it all before.
Let me show you boys how a real lady does.
Too cute, Maddie!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Help me! Oh my God! It's bad! Oh my God!
Hell! Looks like you have a Wojcicki on your 5.
We have community guidelines. Anything that promotes hate, we will take it down.
This day just keeps getting better and better.
Wouldn't be so sure. I can't shake her. Oh, shoot. She's locked onto me.
Quarter Black Goose!
Boys ordered a half-Asian ass-kicking.
Half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond!
Half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond. You son of a bitch.
Don't worry, boys. I got this.
That's what I'm talking about! Woo!
Looks like you just got sucker burned.
Woo! China man, go get some.
Hey, Jack, you know the difference between precedent and precedence?
I don't have answers to that.
Because I'm about to set one. Right on your ass.
He got all of that one! Did you see
Yo,
that?
Maverick, world star that shit.
He's a f***ing marvel.
Oh, hey, Susan. You ordered no MSG, right? Yeah, I hear it's bad for your health. You know what's worse? Me. Don't worry, boys. Looks like I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned
Half-Asian
way.
lawyer Bill, no! Satoshi Daptero
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond, talk to me. Do you read me, half-Asian lawyer Bill Richmond?
You boys didn't think you could get rid of me that easy, did you?
Half-Asian Bill, you're alive!
thought you were a goner, half Asian Phil.
And miss all those billable hours? Not a chance.
I'm just glad you're okay. Just checked your Laddie and Longo. Looks like you'll be landing in Palo Alto before beer o'clock.
Palo Alto? Oh, shit.
That's called a man who took the old KFC ads too literally. You're not supposed to actually consume your fingers, Harold. Very glad. We have Ben Shapiro on the show today. We'll be talking about his BBC controversy, the walkout controversy.
Nice.
Everyone has some opinions. Tweet in yours. In third chair, of course, is our half Asian Larry Bill Richmond. How are you?
Hello, friends.
Thank you very much. How are you, Quarterback Garrett Hoodpass?
What's up, dog?
And that's terrible. I'm embarrassed.
Hey, that was
Gerald
way
Morgan
better than
Jr.
last.
It is better than last time.
No, it's not. Don't give him that.
Miraval Rosé, my friend.
That's not. But it's yellow. Doesn't look pink at all.
It is pink.
I think it's turned.
I don't see it at all.
The idea that wine only gets better, don't agree with it. But I don't know
20-year-old rosé.
Hey, what's your question of the day? What's been your experience here with the recent abortion bills discussing it? Seems like people just want to, their minds are exploding on social media. But I want to know what it's been like for you in the day-to-day. And what do you think about the Alabama and Georgia abortion laws? I'm genuinely curious. It seems like there are people on all sides
Sorry.
here. Oh,
Did I give it away?
There you go.
Oops.
I was trying to foreshadow. You're just like, this is how it ends.
Yeah, exactly. I just skipped to the end, man. Let's get rid of it.
All right. This week, Elizabeth Warren refused a Fox News town hall invite. In case you didn't know, by the way, we're going to be talking about the abortion law. I don't know if I said that. The question should have been alluding to it. Unless Gerald blew the whole deal off. Okay, this comes from Politico.
Whatever.
The 2020 candidate denounced the cable network as a, quote, hate for-profit racket that gives a megaphone to racists and
Not hyperbolic at all.
conspiracists. Instead, she's doing more low-key town halls, like this random clip you see on a bus. That literally, you don't have to be, yes, that's Gerald is looking embarrassed for her. She's just like you. Yeah. Her Instagram is my wife's favorite thing. If ever I walk by the living room, my wife is going, oh, like this, watching. Oh, is it Elizabeth Warren's Instagram? She goes, yeah, and the Hodge twins just commented on it, and this is rough.
That's why they made the word cringe.
If you listen, we actually have an exclusive audio leak. There were different angles, and if you listen, not everyone was thrilled. There she goes again.
You suck! Hey, lady, make like Rosa Parks and sit the down.
Turning to entertainment, PBS's Arthur. Mr. Ratburn, the teacher, he came out as gay and got married on the season 22 premiere. This comes from TV Line. The news comes out in an episode titled Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone. Now, this comes as a little surprise to most with longtime fans. They were citing Mr. Ratburn's obsession with cleanliness, fashion, and episode 246, Mr. Ratburn Gets AIDS. That one was in which Spinky also controversially joined ISIS, which seems as though it was kind of a giveaway. So it seems, it seems as though that... What did we get? So, what is that?
I don't know. We just found it in the studio.
Oh.
It's a Seagal button.
Seagal.
Yeah. So just, yeah, go ahead.
In international news, free bikes are being given out to fat people by the NHS. This comes from the Mirror in the UK. There, regular cycling is more effective at cutting the risk of heart disease than many drugs, so the NHS is giving out bike rides based on a prescription basis.
That's helpful.
So a lot of people are praising the move, fitness, though there are actually some detractors claiming that this, quote, further stigmatizes fat people, with others complaining that, quote, these bikes taste like shit. I
kind of think we're too stupid to live at some point. Like all these like salt regulations and sugar regulations, is like they're doing everything they can to make us
They
not
ate the bikes.
die.
Did you catch the?
Oh, the stuff is delicious.
I prefer fixies.
I hate all of you.
I saw Midtown Rush. Was that the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt on a fixie? I don't know. All right. Hey, by the way, sticking with international news, Business Insider, they just recently published a profile on Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown's prince. He's become a controversial figure, particularly in the fall of 2018 when he faced a global outcry over the death, of course, of Jamal Khashoggi. We don't want to judge, though. He's trying to reform Islam, and that's a very challenging task. Sponsor to the show, and we're very grateful, of course, that will have no effect at all on our editorial decisions.
No.
According to Vice, by the way, it's problematic that medical textbooks overwhelmingly use pictures of young white men. This is the latest problem. So according to the author, depicting the same body over and over again as white, male, and athletic isn't the best way to teach future doctors. She pointed to renowned medical journals that have been published, such as the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of Aging and Health, and the DSM 14 Words, which seems like that's not the guy who's there to help you.
No wonder they have a problem with this. Oh my gosh! You know, if it was full of black guys, it'd be like, "That's right, another black brother dead in a book. You're just showing dead black guys."
What?
They would have a problem either way.
What are you talking about?
That's exactly what I mean.
extremely racist. I feel
Renounce.
That's what they would say. They
I
would
don't, think
find
you
out.
get I don't think you get what the 14 words are. You wouldn't have tied that bit there.
I mean, I didn't go to medical school, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those pictures are guys without skin on. But I could tell those muscles look white.
Why does it matter? I have no idea.
It's not white. So you can tell by the tibias. Finally, a child discovered, and the gait, notably that it's slow.
Wow.
Child discovered $40,000 worth of meth inside a box of Legos.
What?
Yeah, this comes from Huffington Post because that's about what we use them for.
That's what they're for. I mean,
Three
let's be
women,
honest.
they found the box at a consignment shop and they gave it to a small child who opened the box. According to the article, was likely very disappointed. Or was he? I'm not convinced.
Whoa, awesome!
For the first time, Lego has joined forces with methamphetamine so that you too can save the world. Lego methamphetamine. Yes, you're unstoppable.
Lego Mania!
I'm sorry. These human interest stories, I just love them. Just love them.
How much is 40? How do you lose $4,000?
I think that's my favorite Max Smith PA character. Is toothless toddler on toothless toddler meth.
It makes so much more fun. So lovable.
And by the way, because a lot of this has been demonetized, we have a new YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to it, Crowder Bits. It's a YouTube channel. I didn't pick the name. We just upload. That'll probably go up there. Just a lot of you have been asking for bits, sketches, or kind of short segments that maybe sometimes you want to share and you don't want to necessarily use the whole show. So let us know what you want to see up at Crowder Bits. Again, I didn't name it. Last week's trivia contest winner was Timberly Rigel, who correctly identified Colton Wade's significant other is Josephine.
That's right.
So we're going to be sending you a T-shirt and Half Asian Bill's helmet, his Top Gun helmet, because he refused to put it on.
Don't send that. That's a great helmet.
I know.
No.
I don't. It's very. At first, you did a great job, Corda Black Garrett. He does a lot of the props, but the half, the one and the two are very far away from the dividing line.
I had to make the space. I had to fill the space up.
I couldn't.
I thought I was counting Asians to go to sleep.
And what?
There it is. A little sweat on the inside.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
None of them were girls, by the way. Counting 1 boy Asian, 2 boy Asian. Oh, there's a disappointment. Bathtub.
Hey, you're wrong. They're all disappointments.
All right.
God, they're all disappointments.
So we want to hear from you, and I'm really glad that Half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond is here because we're talking about the abortion laws. This has been trending for 2 days now. And, of course, Georgia and Alabama. There's been so much misinformation out there.
Yes.
It really has been driving me nuts. And I don't just want to say, oh, it's driving me crazy. It's wrong. I want to let you know as to why it's incorrect. And I want to know what, I guess, intellectual fallacies you've seen most out there. So here are a couple of claims that I've seen most. One of them, let's go right off the bat. They've been claiming everywhere, by the way. And AOC kind of claimed it, but it was people said they misinterpreted her tweet. I don't know. I'll give it to her borderline. You don't need AOC on this one because everyone else has been saying that these laws constitute jailing women for murder.
If a Georgia resident plans to travel elsewhere to obtain an abortion, when she comes back, she could face 10 years imprisonment.
Don't you?
Meaning abortions
Don't you love how one
could
said
be
10 and one said 30?
punishable by life in prison.
Whom are you going to imprison? Every woman who's had a fertilized egg pass through her?
No, you just.
I don't know, Mr. the mechanical engineer guy. That's awesome. But specifically because they've thrown in Georgia and Alabama. But they both specifically criminalize the act of performing the abortion outside of the listed parameters.
Exactly.
That would be a difference.
They're just actually calling abortion what it is, right? They're calling abortion something that is ending a human life now, and saying that there might be a penalty for performing that.
Well, they very clearly express banning it's the person who's performing the abortion, which brings us actually to their subsequent claim that the Georgia bill, they claim, has loose language that could maybe lead to the prosecution of women who take an abortion pill or who travel to other states or who even miscarry. This is one we've been hearing a lot, miscarriage under these laws.
How stupid is that?
Well, here's the thing, and I've been doing a lot of research since 4 a.m, so I'm not that sharp today. But even in the scary old pseudo-handmaid tale days, and I know it's a post-apocalyptic future, but I stopped watching after episode 2, okay? Hold your hate mail. I couldn't do it when they were saying, like, slut shame, slut shame, slut shame. Was that what they were saying? Shame. They were shouting shame, 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 shame. I'm like, what? She was banging Don Draper. That's where I know her. And she was the president's daughter. If you go back to, let's say, before Roe v. Wade, okay? Maybe Handmaid's Tale. I don't want to get bogged down in the details. Crappy show. There've only been 2 recorded incidents of women being charged with any kind of crime associated with their abortion, okay? One was in 1911 and one was in 1922. Unless I'm wrong about this, throughout the entire history of Anglo-American Western law, only one woman was ever charged with the crime of self-abortion. That specific crime, 1599. You have to go back to the 1500s. No woman ever in the history of modern Western law, as far as I know, let me know if I'm wrong, has been charged with a crime for miscarrying.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. Do you know if, again, 1599, one time. At one point he was, well, you know what, maybe before Roe v. Wade, people weren't being locked in the slammer because they were taking a pill. That's not what was happening.
You got to kind of reach far back to find something like that. 1599, that's crazy. The argument that would be made, too, is like, oh my gosh, they're going to have back alley abortions and people are going to do self-abortions now so that they can get around it. Look, I would rather deal, I know this is going to sound harsh, I would rather deal with back alley issues. I would rather deal with people wanting to do their own abortions and find ways to figure that out than deal with a killing spree that we have right now. Right? Yeah. I would rather deal with those things. Look, if you are so afraid,
I don't want to deal with any of it. So I don't want to say.
I agree.
People are going to take that out of context and say, "Oh, you're saying you want back?" No, I'm not saying that I want back alley abortion.
I'm saying if you're giving me a choice of one of the two. But even if you look at the
mortality rates for pregnant women up until Roe v. Wade, it was very, very low. There were not a lot of self-performed abortions. Did it happen? Yeah, but it's not like that. What was that Demi Moore film? I just forgot it. It's something about a house.
What you're talking about? Yeah.
There's a house and all the different women had abortions.
Yeah.
It's fun for the whole family.
Yeah, exactly. But look, I think if you are so scared that you are willing to go out and have an abortion by a doctor that you have no idea if it's clean, if it's sanitary, if it's safe, or you're willing to try to perform an abortion on yourself, maybe stop before having sex or use contraception. This is not rocket science. If it's that impactful for you.
Sounds to me like you're condoning rape. Bill, looks like you're hitting your light there, or did I?
No.
Legally, he's wrong.
But I'm right there with you in the terms of if you have a legitimate concern about people performing self-abortions, let's say that you see abortion as one of those options so that they can do it in a safe, clean environment. But you should also be in favor of the other other ways to prevent abortions from happening or being necessary, such as abstinence or through other means. Contraceptives, that type of thing. And so, I get it. There's definitely going to be some on the right who have said that they're against contraceptives because it encourages sex, and that's one view.
It's not a mainstream view.
It's not a mainstream view. But that's the point. Is that but it's not okay to be in favor of abstinence or to say that abstinence is a legitimate way to not have to have an abortion.
Yeah, it's the only legitimate way. It's the only guarantee.
It's the only guaranteed
They're like
way.
abstinence only doesn't work.
abstinence only works.
Yeah.
I think you're confusing. You're moving the words around. Now, I'm not saying we only teach people about abstinence, but if you do want to teach them the only way to avoid an STD, STI, or unplanned pregnancy, the only way is abstinence.
It's guaranteed.
Nothing else is foolproof.
And thank you, Alyssa Milano, for the sex strike. That's fantastic. She is saving people from having to have abortions right now.
Lubriderm and old episodes of Charm for her husband. Sweetie, you gave away too much of it for free. I can hold out. It's like the hockey strike. By the way, hit the notification bell. Some Midwesterners love that hockey reference. Bookmark the page because notification bells don't mean a whole lot if you're subscribed. Of course, join Mug Club and iTunes. Leave a review rating there.
Yeah.
Here's another thing, too, that people have been saying, that it's just right-wing extremism and that it's completely unprecedented. That's actually from Salon. They actually wrote about how they will try to put you in jail for This is something I think people don't understand. We have pretty liberal laws regarding abortion. The majority of European countries actually have abortion bans after 12 weeks, and a lot of them require a waiting period after consulting with a doctor.
Yeah, well, I mean, God forbid you have to wait 5 days before you potentially end a human life. And so there was some really cool, just stay with me for a second. Gallup did some really interesting studies on this. Everybody thinks that the abortion is pro-choice is by far the thing that people want. No, it's really about 48-48 right now.
And even then, that's using the most broad terminology.
In the broad terminology, right. So if you drill down, people actually say that they would rather have it legal under some circumstances. And the people that are in favor, 50%, roughly 50% some circumstances. Around 29% say under any. So that's even a smaller group. The people that say under certain circumstances, 38% of that group plus throughout history, back into the early 90s, said in very limited situations. If you drill down into the numbers, there are not that many people out there who actually favor under any circumstance abortions.
Right.
But the media makes you think.
They're just on Twitter.
So that's just in the plus or minus margin of error, and really just Elizabeth Warren with a meat cleaver and a baby at the end of the table. We eliminated her. It skewed the polling data.
Jeez.
Rasmussen didn't think it was valid.
That's a voter we won't get.
I don't understand this. I don't understand this, though, either. At least it's intellectually consistent for these people who say abortion, period, on demand, no questions asked. Because to me, either it's a tragedy or why should it be rare?
Exactly.
Who cares? Why would you want it to be? Does anyone want pap smears to be rare?
Nope.
No. Does anyone want doctor checkups to be rare? No. Does anyone want people removing swollen tonsils to be rare? No. So I don't. Either it's a tragedy or who cares whether it's rare. So I'm glad that at least right now we're having this conversation openly and honestly. Another claim that this is a big fear-mongering claim from the left, and it's not entirely, by the way, unfounded, that this is going to 100% lead to the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Setting up a potential showdown in the highest court of the land.
Alabama's new abortion law, the strictest in our country, is setting up a direct challenge to Roe versus Wade.
Donald Trump said in the third debate with Hillary Clinton, if I get 2 or more appointments to the Supreme Court, automatically, that's the word he used, automatically Roe v. Wade will be overturned. And I think the president was exactly right. Roe v. Wade
not according to Kavanaugh.
Gone, and every woman in Alabama who gets pregnant is going to be forced to give birth soon.
Okay. So here's the thing. It
Forced.
could.
Oh, no.
It could. Some people would like to see it overturned.
Yeah.
Probably a lot in Alabama. Well, we know for a fact, yes, a lot in Alabama. That's a separate issue from the argument. There's a few common misconceptions about Roe v. Wade and what would happen if it were overturned.
Yeah.
Okay. All states place restrictions, or most states place restrictions, regulations on abortions outside of the federal purview. Texas, they wanted to ban abortion after 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Which Elizabeth Warren famously opposed because she's a moral lady. Everyone has the hill they're willing to die on. What's yours? The hill littered with dead babies. Yeah, it's the dying hill. That's why I thought it was most appropriate. The hill I want to die on is the dying hill. Colorado, 34 weeks. Virginia, 25 weeks. And these laws often make it, Bill, you probably know about this, Half Asian Bill, they make it to higher courts. Yeah, so there's truth to that.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the case itself allows to have different restrictions based on the trimesters. That was the kind of fundamental, practical application of it. And so we have always, since Roe versus Wade, had limitations. And really, again, I think it goes back to your point, which is where if you really do think it's as easy as clipping a nail and it's as morally irrelevant as clipping a fingernail, then you're probably more consistent to just say it should be allowed always.
Right.
And in these other states, essentially to say, that Roe versus Wade may be challenged. Well, Roe versus Wade is a very complex opinion that sets different types of restrictions at different trimesters. And it also has a certain basis in the 14th Amendment, the right to privacy. And so you can maybe parse some of those.
Can you explain that? Because that's something a lot of people don't know. They think that Roe v. Wade says there's a constitutional right to abortion. And they think they're in the Constitution. There's some interpreted right to abortion.
So what the 14th Amendment, which was the basis of the opinion, is saying that, yes, here you have the Constitution through the Bill of Rights, which says, or rather through an amendment, it wasn't in the Bill of Rights, but to say you can have a right of privacy, which that word isn't actually there, but it's interpreted as one of the rights that are broadly enumerated in the 14th Amendment. And then from that derivative right to privacy, you then have a further derivative, subderivative right that says that your body and being able, what you are going to do with your body. So, and I think intellectually, like at a very high level, a lot of people wouldn't understand. I mean, there's a lot of, libertarian fans of the show who would say your right to privacy allows you to put in your body whatever you want, or to be able to do with your body whatever you want. So it's not like that entire spectrum of argument.
No, and by the way, I think that's a valid argument. I think libertarians who say, not only do I think pot should be legal, but I think someone should be able to shoot heroin in their house if they want to. I think it's very hard to argue against that constitutionally. And it's a compelling argument.
But the difference becomes when, for example, you have a different heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah, you're hurting
someone else in there, and where you draw a line, again, under the libertarian philosophy, you would draw a line where you're hurting someone else and those types of things. Yeah. And that's where you even on the question of what you have a right to privacy for, your right to privacy doesn't extend to what you can do to other people.
No, it's a really, really loose knot tied there. And even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's likely dead, admitted that Roe v. Wade is a byproduct of, quote, heavy judicial interventionism. That's what she said. Okay, so I want to make sure that people understand.
Her own words.
Yes, and she's dead.
This is Weekend at Bernie's all over again.
It's just Weekend at Ginsburg.
Whatever you want.
Part 3.
This is another claim too. This is more so a generalized claim we hear about abortion a lot, but they have been banging on all cylinders when it comes to this one here. So these two laws specifically, that this is about regulating a woman's body. There's no law like this against men.
Democratic woman in the legislature tried to fight back. State Senator Vivian Figures introduced an amendment to make vasectomies a felony, noting that there are no laws regulating what a man can do with his body.
That screech.
Who are you to tell me what to do with my body? It's my decision. It's not yours.
Wait, hold on a second. Men can have no say, none, in what women do with their bodies? So you want to undo Roe v. Wade? Who was filling the court, sweetheart?
What's going
you
on?
want to lose the right to vote? Because who gave you that one? Many of you didn't even want it. You didn't want bucket duty in the draft.
That's true.
By the way, there are plenty of laws like this that apply to men. Here's actually something. Let me ask you this. Can you name me, genuinely, a comparable instance where it doesn't? So they compare vasectomy, right, to the heartbeat bill. Vasectomy, it's your appendage. It's your DNA. You can do what you want with your body. Just as, by the way, no one out there cares about you getting your tubes tied. No one out there cares about getting a pap smear. This one leftist was tweeting on Twitter like, oh, so now we're gonna have laws about men are gonna decide what we do with their pap smears how often. Well, hold on a second. Why do you think it is that none of us care about any of those things? Because a vasectomy is not ending a heartbeat. By the way, not yours, another heartbeat. So let me ask you this. If we all acknowledge when we're talking about a heartbeat bill, okay, that you're stopping a heartbeat, and it's not the mom's heartbeat. The mom doesn't have two hearts. She's not a medical marvel. At least most of them, right?
Well, I would think
Dr.
so.
Ben Carson isn't having to come in and separate all of them. So my question to you is, if you're ending a heartbeat, whose heartbeat are you ending? Yeah. And can you point me to any instance, any example, where a man can legally stop the heartbeat of another human being, innocent, nonviolent? Let's not get into war here. Can you name me any example? More importantly, can you name me one example that would allow men to do that exclusively? Meaning men would be allowed to stop someone else's heartbeat and women wouldn't be. That's the only way that your argument holds water.
Oh my gosh.
Or the other argument, what about a man should have an equal right, if it's equality, right, as opposed to just one gender over the other, or flipping the script so that one is taking advantage of the other.
Right.
Again, if you even assume that the opposite is true, would that mean that a man has an equal right to say, "Hey, we had sex. You definitely have to take Plan B, and if you have a fetus in you, you definitely have to get rid of it." I mean, that extension, that right has to extend to a man. If you're going to follow that track.
No, but it's her body. How dare you?
Well, all right. I mean, and then you say, oh, well, it's her body. Okay, fine. There's a reason why you have to stop and say, stop its heartbeat, stop her heartbeat, stop his heartbeat, instead of just saying, stop all the heartbeats.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, look, it's a great point to talk about the heartbeat and saying that it's a separate heartbeat, right? Because what we're dealing with here is somebody who is saying, every part of my body is under my control, and this thing that is inside of me is not a person. right?
Right.
Yeah.
Fine. If you want to have that argument and that debate, that's fine, because at some point it becomes a viable human being outside of the womb. We can talk about that.
Well, that's a whole macro discussion.
I know.
Again, there's no
but
consistent line to draw outside of conception,
Right.
but yeah.
But I'm saying that's fine. But now with these heartbeat bills, what you're saying is they're making a very fine point and saying that's a second heartbeat that you can't stop and think that it's just a clump of cells. It's not a clump of cells anymore.
Yeah.
That's where the argument is now.
Or we're all clumps of cells, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like literally nothing matters
Exactly.
anymore.
So then why would we
what's the
want it to
point?
be rare?
It's nihilism.
Who cares? Here's something else that I genuinely am curious to hear people's opinions on, because I asked my wife this the other night. Women out there, can you think of, I mean, I'm sure women from a long time ago can say, sure, because if I spoke out, my husband gave me a fresh one. I understand that, right? The Wonder Bread era. Let's talk about today. Can you think of any issue today where, as a woman, you are told you're not allowed to have an opinion exclusively because you're a woman? If we're going to say, if it were vasectomies, men could do it. Well, hold on a second. No, men are not allowed to stop another human being's heartbeat in any instance. The only people who are allowed to do that are women. It's an exception to the rule. The only exception where it's permissible to end another autonomous being's heartbeat is for women. So let me ask you on the flip side, are you ever told as a woman that you cannot hold an opinion, or you are not entitled to an opinion exclusively because you are a woman? Women who are watching, listening, let me know. I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Could be my male privilege. Genuinely, can anyone here think of any? My wife couldn't. No. She said, I'm never told that I can't have an opinion on any issue. She said rape, economics, men's health, any issue, like all of it.
Well, and this was the thing that she did at the end where she was kind of crying and pointing into the camera saying, it's my body, it's not yours. You could have used that for slaves, and people did. It's my property, not yours.
Right.
Right? That's the same exact argument that was being used. And it was bad then, too, and it's still bad now.
Right. And so we do have to get to Ben Shapiro in a little bit, but they're claiming that these bills would imprison mothers. They won't. These bills are completely unprecedented. They're not. These bills don't take into account the health of the mother. They do. This is the start of overturning Roe v. Wade. Well, not exactly, but potentially that's a conversation we may have. But let me ask you this. What if none of this matters? What if these states, to people here who are upset about these bills, particularly like the Elizabeth Warrens of the world, Kamala Harris, the entire DNC platform, by the way, of course. There's no intellectual diversity there at all. What if these states, let's say Georgia, Alabama, had passed an abortion bill, that made exceptions for rape and incest and the life of the mother? They already make that exception. And they banned abortion at only 12 weeks, requiring a 5-day waiting period. Would liberals support it? Do you think they'd support it then? Or do you think you guys would protest it?
She and her husband did what they thought was best for their baby girl. They got an abortion in the 3rd trimester. Reproductive rights are about health. They are about safety.
This is an existential fight for the right and liberty to control your own body.
Abortion cannot just be theoretically legal. It has to be literally accessible.
Yeah, I feel like it's a basic human right that nobody gets to use your body without your consent.
I had an abortion last year.
That's
it
real
was an
funny.
incredibly
What about jamming
positive
forceps in
experience
it?
for me because I didn't want to become a mother.
It is a normal part of women's medical lives. So far, succeeding in limiting our access to exercise our constitutional right.
It's not a constitutional right. By the way, these are the same people who don't believe in the constitutional right to keep and bear arms, which actually is a constitutional right.
It's actually spelled out.
When we're talking about amendments, it's number 2, right next to number 1, which includes, by the way, freedom of speech, which you also don't believe in. So you're literally stepping, you've heard of stepping over dollars to pick up pennies? You're stepping over rights to grab ones that don't exist. Like, freedom of speech, let's move that over here, right to bear arms. I don't really like it because David Hogg was in a Michael Moore film. 14th Amendment, right to privacy, therefore you can have an abortion at 32 weeks, says Elizabeth Warren. This one I'm pretty confident on.
Oh my gosh.
It really is absolutely remarkable to me. And by the way, I want to make sure that I'm clear that context of the first Elizabeth Warren clip. She was talking about parents who had a late-term abortion because the baby was going to have a congenital, I believe, a heart defect.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be accused of taking her out of context. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. That's not why she was opposing a 20-week abortion ban. You need to understand this, okay? If they say, well, hold on a second, we need exceptions on this. There's no exception for rape or incest. All right, hold on a second. You're against a 20-week ban. So how about on the flip side? Would you only extend the abortion beyond 20 weeks in cases of rape, incest, or, for example, a congenital heart defect, serious birth defects, the health of the mother? That's not what Elizabeth Warren proposed.
No, not at all.
They don't make those exceptions. You can't have it on one side of the coin and not on the other. It really is remarkable to me. And again, the intellectual consistency.
Yeah.
Who cares? Why should it be rare?
Exactly. You should be able to do
if it doesn't mean anything. And also the fear-mongering that really bothers me. You hear the right accused of fear-mongering quite a bit, where the right fear-mongers, they want it's based on fear. Well, let's be honest. What do conservatives fear-monger on? Okay? Terrorism, socialism. You know what? Okay, 9/11, Arab Spring, ISIS. You know what? Socialism, Venezuela. How long? Instead of fear-mongering, I call that a heads-up.
But sounding the alarm a little bit for you.
You look at the left's fear-mongering. What is it? Climate change? Polar ice caps were supposed to be gone, by the way. We're supposed to, the entire world was supposed to be in famine aside from North America and parts of Europe.
11 years, 8 months.
Florida's supposed to be gone. No more coral reef, no more fish. Not saying there's no climate change, but the catastrophes certainly haven't happened.
Right.
Abortion. If you ban abortion, you're going to be jailed for miscarrying. So whereas the right fear-mongers gives you a heads up based on things that have actually happened and are currently happening across the world. The left fear-mongers on things that can't be proven, never happened, they move on to the next thing. No one in this country has been regularly arrested for having abortions or for miscarrying. If you accept that wholesale, you have bought false fear-mongering. It's not even close to the truth. And at least we can correct that. We can get to the conversation of abortion at large. But hopefully, I've assisted you. If I haven't, then I've just wasted a lot of your time, and you're probably waiting for Ben Shapiro anyways, because it's going to be a barn burner. We'll be right back. That's my favorite small Jewish man. Hey there, viewer. Maverick here. And I don't play by anyone's rules. Not YouTube's, Twitter, or Facebook. That's because I have only one rule that I respect. And that's that I join Mug Club. You can join Mug Club too. Be a rebel like me. Join up and have the freedom to be your own man. Now I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 14 rounds or 15? That's erroneous, as my new all-steel PPQ-5 match has a 17-round magazine, plus one in the chamber. With the best ergonomics in the business, I'm capable of putting a shot right between your eyes at 40 yards away. So you have to ask yourself one question. Do you feel lucky? Well, do ya? Punk.
Louder with Crowder Studios, protected exclusively by Walther. LouderWithCrowderShop.com is now selling baseball tees in red, blue, and ash. Get yours at LouderWithCrowderShop.com today. See, I don't care about you when I'm dancing. It's not a performance. It's about feeling the music move through me, namely my fingers. That's about pretty much the music movement is limited to the fingertips, like a father-in-law at a wedding. Not my father-in-law. Very glad to have our next guest. I know that he's a busy man and he's traveling around the country, so his time is limited. His new book, The Right Side of History: How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the Great West. He's been making the rounds talking about it, and obviously the subject of a little bit of controversy this last week, which we'll talk about. Mr. Ben Shapiro, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. How are you, dude?
I am doing all right. So we were talking before the break. I never know how to broach this subject. So let me because you never know if it's a sore spot. Like I talked with a fighter one time and asked him about a fight that was a loss for him. And I'm not saying this is comparable in that sense, but you could tell he got pissed. And I thought that was a good question. I thought it was compelling. And this was a heavyweight who didn't like me after that. So this happened on the BBC. I think we have some B-roll here. The guy's name is it Neil Brennan?
Andrew Neil.
Andrew Neil. Sorry. Wait, Neil Brennan was
right. Now I know. Yeah.
Well, that's the issue. I said Neil. I think Brennan was a fighter. I don't know who I'm thinking. Neil Brennan. Maybe. So listen, I think that a lot of the criticism there that's been lobbed against you, obviously, I think is unfair, and I think some of it is constructive. What's your overall view on this? Since people have been talking about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that there are certainly some things I regret about this interview. I tweeted out the stuff I regret about the interview, and then there's some stuff I really don't regret about the interview. The stuff that I regret is, I'm in the middle of a book tour and we're doing a lot of book interviews. And the producers for BBC approached us and they said, we want to have you on to discuss the book. And I figured, okay, normal book interview, even if it gets, a little bit antagonistic, that's totally fine. I mean, I just did an interview with Vox where Sean Illing opposes a lot of the ideas in the book. We did a long half-hour interview about it because he was asking questions about the book. So I figured, okay, no problem. It's a busy day, so we sit down.
I thought that was risky. I'll tell you, I read the Vox interview. Let me tell you why I thought it was risky, because it was in writing. It wasn't a video. And anytime that happens, especially with someone like you, where a lot of it is read through tone, I thought, ooh, they could make that a hatchet job. But I actually thought it came out pretty well. But it's not something I would do when I know it's just in print.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like I'd rather do live video typically, not even tape, as with the BBC. But in any case, so it was a lazy decision on my part. I didn't know anything about the guy who was interviewing me. I heard him in my ear, obviously. I have no idea who Andrew Neil is. I don't follow British politics all that closely, truthfully. Yeah. So we sit down and we start the interview. And his opening question is really antagonistic. He starts asking about the barbarity of pro-life positions. And he starts asking, isn't this Georgia policy bringing us back to the dark ages? He mischaracterizes the Georgia law itself. Right. And I figure, okay, I know who this guy is, obviously. Idiotic move. I have no idea who the guy is. That's the entire problem. And so I assume, just like any journalist who asked that sort of question in the U.S., this person is on the left. Well, it turns out that Andrew Neil is apparently famously on the right there, although I assume not on the social right there. So I start pushing at him, prodding at him there. So mistake number one, didn't know who he is, and that was a mistake. And, you got to own that. I tweeted out even before the interview aired that I had no idea who he was. I apologized for saying that he was on the left when he is not, in fact, on the left. So that was
I'm somewhat familiar with him, even though I just got his name wrong. I said Neil. I need to find out who Neil Brennan is, because Neil Brennan is a person and is in my head. There's Chris Brennan was a fighter who I trained with once, and then there's a guy named Neil Brennan. No idea where. But I know who he is a little bit because, obviously in Canada, we're a little bit more closely tied with the parliamentary system.
Right.
He is more conservative, but he is kind of a dick. So that part you didn't get wrong, but continue.
Right. So that brought us to the second part of the interview. Well, he eventually starts basically browbeating me with the idea that I've said things that I regret in the past. Well, yeah, I mean, so have most of us who've been in politics. I have a column that I referenced twice in the interview. This interview, by the way, is about 16 minutes. And so he mentions all this stuff. I say twice. I've got an entire column. It's famous. I've posted it online, all about this sort of stuff that I've said that I regret or that I've explained. And he won't allow me to explain any of the comments, and I start to get frustrated. And this is when I make the second thing that I regret, which is I went to the ego play. So again, based on the assumption that this guy is just some BBC schmuck and not a famous guy, I say, I'm famous and you're not, which is always a bad move, always a dumb move. And of course, I regret that one. Yeah. That was stupid also. Now, here's the thing I don't regret. There's no question he was badly motivated, right? I mean, the entire line of questioning was, you're a bad person, I'm going to smear you, you're a bad person. If I start to answer, he interrupts, you're a bad person, over and over and over. Here's all the bad things that you've said. And I keep saying, yeah, I've said things I regret. Yeah, here's how I explain this one. Right. He keeps referencing a column I wrote in 2012. I say, can you ask me something from the last 5 years? Or why don't you read? I don't remember everything I've written.
Well, Bill Maher did that exact same thing. He had his flashcards and he was bringing up old tweets from you. I mean, this is something they always do.
Yeah, and again, the thing was I wasn't in that headspace. So it's funny. People are like, Shapiro gets blown away in debate. Well, this was an interview, right? It was scheduled as an interview. Like if it were a debate, you prep like it's a debate. I wasn't prepped. The failure of preparation is my fault. So it's a successful ambush for him, so win for him. Here's the thing I don't regret. Getting up and walking out, I don't regret for a heartbeat. I do not regret it for a second. The fact is that he was badly motivated. He was looking for the gotcha moment. He felt he got the gotcha moment just by asking all these questions and refusing to listen to the answers. He didn't ask a single question about the substance of the book at all. Right. It took him 17 minutes to get to the point where he apparently was about to ask that question. And I felt like, you know what? I do have a basic rule, and this is true in any conversation. I've said this 1,000 times in my speeches. My basic rule is when someone is intent on defaming your character, you have no obligation to continue with the conversation. That's what he was doing. Right. And so I was out. And by the way, this idea that this was just an honest line of questioning, his own producer tweeted out after this whole thing was over that this is why you should have people like Shapiro on so that you can basically attack their character. I mean, he tweeted that out himself. So yeah,
isn't it kind of funny that
I don't regret getting up and walking out because, again, it was an ambush. So he gets a win for the ambush.
Can I offer, while I have you in a mode here, while I have you in a mode talking about like the breaking down of ego, if I may offer a little word of it. The only thing I would say about your walkout, this is the performance art of it. In my opinion, if you're going to walk out, walk out. Light off a big old mouth cannon and walk away laughing. Because at that point, you were trying to walk out respectfully. You were pissed, but you just be like, you know what, dude? No, go yourself. And you walk out. That's how if you're going to walk out. To me, if you're going to walk out, make it a serious walkout, just short of slapping your Donegar on the table.
I know.
But
I was trying to be here's the thing. And this is the part that always kills you. I was trying to be polite even at the end, and then I tried to be polite after that by kind of joking about, okay, well, you got me, Ben Shapiro destroyed and all of that. And apparently politeness is not in vogue. But again, I'll freely admit this one went like crap for me. It was not a great showing.
I didn't think it went like crap. I just think that people are so people who don't enter the arena, they're always looking to fault someone who does, right? They're always looking for you to fault. And I would say it's certainly not your best performance, but I don't really think it was. I think the guy was being a dick. Yeah. And I don't think the left can have it both ways where they say, well, in the BBC in the UK, or they talk about Canada. I go, oh, you're talking about unbiased journalism in Canada where it's funded by the government, where our prime minister literally promised $150 million to the CBC if he won. Surprise, he won. No, you can't say that they're unbiased, that it's true journalism, that they ask tough questions, and then have an interview where he spends 14 minutes on your Twitter and not on the book. That's also not substantive.
Listen, I agree with all that, but I figure that, listen, I hold myself to a higher standard, and so if I don't live up to that standard, then that's the way that it goes, right? I mean, that's my fault. Again, my first rule is you got to research the person who you're debating. My fault was I didn't, and so you get shown up if you don't research the person you're debating. That's a mistake, and
people do this all the time, when it's like Cenk Uygur, like, oh, this is what you know about Shapiro. I'm like, hold on, Cenk, you were on stage with him, and your own audience started booing you when Ben was debating you. This is what bothers me, is the pig pile on people. Or people have said this about me because we do Change My Mind, which isn't a debate. They go, when you're not debating high school kids. Like, well, hold on a second. We've debated professors, scientists on the show. Right. Naomi Wolf has come on this show, and I know that you have. If people can run a search, people just want to mischaracterize.
Yeah, no, this is now you're hitting on a pet peeve of mine, which is all the media coverage, which was, he'll debate college students, but as soon as he gets in the ring, okay, I've had on the Sunday special, Andrew Yang, we discussed UBI. We were adversarial about it, but friendly. I've had on Sam Harris. I've had a public debate with him on his own podcast. I was on Bill Maher's show. I've debated Cenk publicly. I've debated Black Lives Matter publicly, socialist Shama Sawant publicly. I've debated gun control publicly. I've debated more than pretty much anybody that I know, people on the left, and I have discussions with people on the left so frequently that literally the day that this interview was taped, that interview with Vox came out, right? And again, Sean Illing disagrees with me, but it was a perfectly nice, cordial conversation in which we decided to get to the issues at the heart of the book. And I think, by the way, if you want an informative back and forth on the book, that's a good place to start. So, that the interview,
Now I feel bad because I haven't asked a whole lot about the book. I'm the bad guy here. I'm not a journalist, but I haven't asked about the book. Tell us about the book, because the book obviously is about kind of how to have these conversations. For people who don't know, I think we have an overlay here of your book. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, the book is basically asking the question, why is it that we live in the most prosperous, freest time in world history, and yet we're sort of beating each other up? And the answer is that we don't have shared fundamental universal beliefs anymore. What were those shared fundamental universal beliefs at the heart of Western civilization? Why are they good? Why did they produce this good, free, prosperous world? And what are those beliefs that we should be reacquainted with? And why did we lose those universal principles? So it really is sort of a pop history of philosophy in 250 pages or less. It's not the world's easiest read, but I think it's pretty informative and pretty useful. And I think it answers some important questions. More important questions than, how about this crappy tweet you sent in 20 times?
Though those questions can be funny, and if they ever pull mine up, my response will just have to be, did I write that? That sounds like something I would say. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's why I'll never run for office. They'll hold the standard of a joke, of comedy against me. And that's happened before, too, where people have taken statements. And I go, well, you can't take that statement literally, just like you can't take a statement I made as a drunk Nick Nolte dressed as Rosa Parks in a sketch seriously. There's a difference between the commentary and the bits. It's a little bit alarming that you just used the word Western civilization, because as we were reading on Salon, that's a dog whistle for white supremacy.
White supremacists. Yeah, exactly. Well, as we all know, white supremacists, that's my thing. I mean, it is. I will notice a slight media imbalance. So the interview at the BBC got all this coverage. That's fine, totally fine. The week before, the FBI arrested somebody for threatening to kill me and my family, and it got 5 stories, none of them from national publications.
Right,
so,
of course.
That's pretty, just worth noting.
Yeah, this does. I remember when we did the Crowder confronts of someone who threatened to, I think was it the one who wanted to slash our tires or firebomb our van, and we confronted this person. We're like, hey, by the way, really quickly, we're not advocating violence. I just would really like it if you take down this call to bomb my team and my van. And the Austin Chronicle, the lady wrote like, the taller, intimidating, muscular Steven Crowder intimidates this poor small transgender. I'm like, why didn't you mention that this person tried to bomb my van? Or she's like, well, I did mention that you alleged that. No. Here it is. Here's the post. Like, well, I see that you're alleging that. No, this person says I did it. There really is a disproportional response of the media, kind of as we just covered this week with the top hoaxes of 2019. We have Brett Kavanaugh's a rapist, the Russia conspiracy hoax, Jussie Smollett, and then all of these other hate crimes. Hey, speaking of hate crimes, Tlaib, obviously from my wonderful home state of Michigan. This went back and forth
forth this week where she talked about her was it calming feeling? Yeah, calming feeling.
Yeah, calming.
When she thinks about the Holocaust, and people said people were saying conservatives had taken this out of context. When I read it in its entirety, I thought, well, that only makes it worse. Because she said, I get a calming feeling because I think of how we provided a safe haven, even though it was against our will, and obviously it stripped us of our humanity. So, well, hold on a second, you don't sound like a willing party here. What do you think is the accurate read on that when we remove the political ping pong?
So I don't think that her saying that the Holocaust gave her a calming feeling was her saying, yeah, I feel calm about the murder of 6 million Jews. That's obviously not what she's saying. The part of it that's bad is when she completely recasts the history in a way that is not only ahistorical but anti-historical. The Palestinian Arabs were the original inhabitants of the land. The Jews have no connection with the land. The only reason the state of Israel was created was because of the Holocaust. And then we Palestinian Arabs, we worked to integrate them and bring them in. Every aspect of this is just sheer crap. And the problem is that it does back the anti-Semitic narrative that the Jews have no place in Israel, that they are a European colonialist implant, and that the Palestinian Arabs are the true victims when it comes to the foundation of the state of Israel, despite the fact that the Palestinian Arab leadership sought to work with Hitler to impose a final solution in the Middle East, despite the fact that the Palestinian Arabs worked with the British mandate to prevent Jewish immigration to Israel, to British mandate Palestine, in the middle of the Holocaust. And there she is proclaiming that the real victims in all of this were the Palestinian Arabs. I mean, again, it plays into an anti-Semitic narrative because she's an anti-Semite, but anybody who's reading the calming Holocaust thing in the way that I spoke about earlier, that obviously is a misread.
It's a misread, but I also don't understand why she said it. What does she mean by calming feeling?
I think that John Podhoretz had a great piece on this at Commentary. He basically said she thought she was saying something nice. Right? That saying the Holocaust is bad is saying something nice. So when she says that she had a calming feeling, she means the Holocaust is bad, but it makes me feel better about all of the evils that you did to me. When I think about the evils that were done to you and how we were the victims of you healing from that, makes me feel better. She thought she was saying something nice, but she's an anti-Semite. That's not really possible.
Well, I always thought, too, going back to the tweets, if someone were to pull out one of my old tweets, I think I had a tweet that was a joke like modern Islamic, it was about Islamic governments. Islam in this might have been 2016, basically Nazis who beat their wives. And people were like, wow, how dare you make that comparison? Well, let's take Hamas. Let's take these organizations. They believe, if you don't think if they could exterminate Jews right now, if they had the ability to wage a new Holocaust, of course they would. And, they beat their wives. Nazis, I'm sure some of them did, but it was an exception, not the rule. We can give them that.
I'm not even going to go here, man. I am not even going to touch this.
People don't talk about the alliance between a lot of the Islamic world and the Nazis.
No, that is certainly true. Well, that is the point of Tlaib's idiocy. Now, the fact is that Hashim al-Husseini, the Mufti of Jerusalem, he has, love letters from Himmler in the middle of the Holocaust, talking about, we really hope to wipe this Jewish threat off the planet, and thanks for your help. So that's pretty great.
And they were playing a game of telephone with tin cans and a string with Henry Ford. And he was like, what? Can I get in on this? And then people said, yeah, I guess that's true. Very notorious anti-Semite. Did you know that about Ford?
I didn't know that at all.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, really some pretty rough stuff when you look back.
You know what, dude? Honestly, I can't take this interview. I'm out. I gotta be gone.
I'll catch you later. Is this
we're done.
Is this another walk-off?
Mania.
Reach the wizard. Hey, whoever's putting on social media, just keep in mind I also have to represent this company in a court of law.
I feel like I'm riding a horse.
Everyone shut up!
Yes, shut up! Can you stop shaking for a second?
No, it takes too long. Either you two. Can't screw it.
Well, you know what?
I hear you boys needed to half it right on your ass. Deep in your colon. I am no longer going to be able to show my face in court. Okay, continue.
again. Break yourself, fool!
If you don't join Mug Club, Maddie will die.
That's called The Man Who Doesn't Realize That you can't purge a flight helmet, dummy. It was a Japanese kamikaze who, purge. Don't you know how to when you scuba dive? You pull it off, then you blow through the pressure.
Okay. No,
Bill must have a really small head. How does this fit? I have no. You put it on over his headphones? Hold on, let me get this right. By the way, thank you so much to Ben Shapiro. Even though a little bit of a move there. Walking off like that.
I mean, what are you gonna expect?
I'm very uncomfortable. Do you think I just stick with it and keep the helmet on?
Yeah.
We have to get ready. By the way, cultural appropriation. Oh, I should let you know. Next week, this whole show is going to be hosted by none other than Bernie Sanders.
That's true.
The entire program. Guest segments, everything. I'm going to be off. Bernie Sanders will be sub-hosting. And then, of course, June, Cultural Appropriation Month, because to appropriate is to appreciate. This is where we appropriate a new culture every week. Every time. And bring you the wondrous creations that cultures have to offer across the world. Send in, either here on YouTube or tweet me at Crowder, the cultures you want to see. Yeah. Now we're up to what? It's been 3 years now.
Yep, 3 years.
It's been 3 or 4. It's either 12.
It's been 3, I think.
6. Okay.
Oh, we got a lot.
3 years. And what it was one of those years had 5.
Yes.
Did we have 5 Thursdays?
So.
Was that the way it worked out?
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. But one week, I remember one month, we said, "Oh no, we forgot there was another Thursday in June. It's the last day." Oh no. And then I think we got lazy and did like Sweden or something. Go look up Cultural Appropriation Month, Sweden, and see. Yeah. Watch Sally Cohn get mad at me. Really excited for next week. A lot of big. It was the blow up rape dolls.
It really was.
Sorry. I just remember the look. We're just like, this is fun until it dawned on
we're
it.
doing.
This is really messed up. Okay. Crowder closes in this silly hat. Too Cute Maddie pulls it off well. That's a great example. People talk about privilege. Girls wear, giant sunglasses. Yeah. They look cute. Guys wear them. They look like they're retarded. They're trying to cover up a bender. You wear that helmet. It's still cute. It's disgusting. I wear it. I look like it's a.
You get to sit over there.
It's a retard crash helmet. I look like there should be. I look like these corners should be nerfed. All right. So Crowder closes. Straight face. I've talked about truly living in your purpose. We've talked about that on the show quite a bit, and we get a lot of messages. We do the Life Advice to Love, Tough Love segments here for those who are Mug Club members. We don't really upload them to YouTube. But, as a good rule of thumb, and I was talking with Manny and Tim about this, there's kind of a rule. If you cannot describe your concept, your business, or your point of view, if you cannot give someone that pitch in a couple of phrases, you really maybe haven't thought about it so well. So let me try and distill this. Good rule of thumb. When people talk about living in their purpose, how do they figure out? You'll find yourself invaluable to someone else. When you make yourself invaluable to someone else, let me put it really simply. You want to find yourself, this is a term we hear a lot, get really, really good at something. My friend Brian Callen has talked about that. You want to figure out what you're about, get excellent at something. Make yourself irreplaceable. And by the way, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be irreplaceable to a ton of people. Okay, you can make yourself invaluable to your boss, to your kids, to your employees, to your church, Little League, because you're the best damn coach they ever saw. I don't know. But irreplaceability breeds trust. And when you find more people are entrusting you with more responsibility, that's when you get to show people what your true character is. Otherwise, you never know. When someone says, oh, you need to get that done, you need to get X done or Y, oh, give that to Bob. No one does it better. It'll feel great, but you'll also be in the hot seat. And there are these sound bites that we hear all the time. You hear a lot of athletes say this, or like Oprah. It's not what you do when you win that defines you, but how you come back from a loss. Or sometimes I've heard it the other way too, where they say, well, losing is easy, winning is hard. Staying on top, you figure out what you're made of. Neither is true. You want to find out what you're made of? You want to find out who you are? It's what you do with trust. When someone trusts you, you are effectively both signing a character check. Think of it that way. A character check of accountability, responsibility, expectations. He's signing the front, you're signing the back of it. Think of every great athlete or world leader. It could be from Wayne Gretzky, something as trivial as something like hockey, to Winston Churchill. They were all defined by their wins as much as their losses. It's not either scenario that defines you. But in both instances, by the way, they were entrusted with doing their best. Someone trusts from leading people to a Stanley Cup, leading the team to Stanley, to losing seasons. That defined Wayne Gretzky. The failures of Gallipoli to the victory in World War II. We talk about Churchill. These were people in positions which carried great intrinsic trust because of their expertise, because of their excellency, and because they could be counted on to do their best. You know who never gets entrusted with a whole lot? The mediocre, the good enoughs. So if you can't explain it to me right now in one phrase, 2 phrases, I'll give you at most 2 phrases, you haven't thought about it hard enough. I'm about to ask you a question. Okay? You ready? What are you really good at? Think about it. What do others, or what do you think, what should others entrust to you specifically? If you don't know all the self-help books and silent retreats in the world, they're not going to help you. You need to figure it out. Find out what makes you excellent. Find out who trusts you and what they trust you with. You'll find out who you are. And that's something you can control. All right, I'll see you next week without this stupid helmet. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
It only takes